Hello everyone, my name is Commander Tofu and I'm back with another episode of Hidden Rocks, the show where we find cards that are like hidden gems, but they might not actually be good. Our first card today is for one of the classic powerhouse commanders, Animar, Soul of Elements. This guy gets bigger every time you play a creature, and he reduces the cost of your creatures by how big he is. Animar is one of the strongest commanders you could play in a creature-centric deck, but today we're actually focusing on his first ability that people forget about sometimes, protection from white and black. If something has protection, then that means it can't be dealt damage, enchanted, blocked, or targeted by anything with a specific quality. So Animar can't be murdered, pacified, or blocked by an Ur-Dragon. This built-in protection is definitely really useful, but he can still get taken out by cards like Blasphemous Act and Mind Control. So that's what our first hidden rock is for. Since Animar can't be hurt by anything white or black, all we have to do is make every card white or black. Enter Painter Servant. This scarecrow might not seem like much, but he's so powerful that he actually used to be banned in the format. When you play him, you choose a color, and everything becomes that color. Not just the permanents on the board, or the cards in your hand. Everything. So we can play Painter Servant and name white or black, and then our Animar will have protection from everything. It's like a build your own Progenitus. This does essentially mean that your Painter Servant is instantly going to get destroyed by any number of removal spells, but that's one fewer removal spell that your opponents have to deal with your Animar.
What is my purpose?
Eat a removal spell.
Oh my god.
Yeah, welcome to the club, pal.
Before we get to the next card, it's trivia time. I know I said that having Animar with a Painter Servant makes him like Progenitus, but that actually isn't quite true. Even if you have a Painter Servant on white, there is still one way to deal damage to Animar. Can you figure out what it is? Stick around till the end if you want the answer. Now back to the video. Our next card today is one that I honestly did a double take when I saw because it genuinely seems super good, and I can't believe that nobody's playing it. Sky Hussar is a 5-mana 4/3 Azorius human knight with flying, and when it ETBs you untap all of your creatures. But we don't care about any of that. All we care about is the forecast ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Sky Hussar is in our hand, then we can reveal him and tap 2 of our white or blue creatures to draw a card. I know this might sound really janky, but hear me out. The Sky Hussar lets you draw cards for no mana, and you don't even have to cast it. Yes, you do have to tap 2 creatures every time you draw a card, but assuming that you have 2 useless white or blue tokens lying around, then this card lets you draw a card every turn, and you never even have to play it. Sky Hussar is essentially a 0-mana Phyrexian arena with Indestructible and Shroud that also can't be countered that says if you want to draw a card, then tap 2 creatures. Also, you don't lose life. Okay, maybe that metaphor doesn't work super well, but you get my point. If you draw just 2 cards off of this guy, it's almost like you played a 0-mana divination, and that seems insane. That being said, there aren't that many decks that want to play this card, because Azorius decks tend to not have that many useless creatures lying around. But there are some commanders where this card would work, like Kaikar, Akeem, and Alayla. But my personal favorite is Gavi Nestwarden. Gavi makes a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat whenever you draw your second card in a turn. So once you get 2 cats, you can tap the cats with your Sky Hussar to draw a second card, make another cat, and just keep snowballing from there.
That just sort of happened.
Our last card today is one that came out pretty recently, and I think it's been kind of underrated by the EDH community. The Celestis is a 3-mana mana rock that lets you gain 1 life and loot whenever it switches from day to night or night to day. You can also pay 3 to tap it to change between day and night. It seems like the general consensus is that this card is only worth running in decks that specifically have a day-night theme, like Tovolar or Vadrik, but I think this card has a lot more potential. Looting is a very powerful ability, and changing night to day is really easy because someone just has to cast at least 2 spells in their own turn, which happens all the time. The tough part is changing day to night. The condition for changing day to night is somebody has to play 0 spells during their own turn. You can't really depend on other players for that, so if you want to play the Celestis in a deck, then you want a commander that actually encourages you to not play any spells during your own turn, and I think I found the perfect candidate. Yeva, Nature's Herald, is a green 4-mana 4/4 with flash, and it gives all of your green creature spells flash. Most Yeva decks are packed with creatures, and if Yeva is on the board, then you can just flash in your Regal Forces and your Galtas on someone else's turn instead of your own. Now you will still have to play spells during your own turn sometimes, so the Celestis won't be triggering every single go around, but even if you just don't cast spells during 2 of your own turns, that'll change the day to night 2 times, and your opponents will probably change night to day 2 times. So you'll get 4 free loots and 4 free life. That's like a free Faithful Mending with flashback. So Yeva Nature's Herald is my recommendation if you want to switch between day and night as fast as possible.
Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset.
Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Now for the answer to the trivia question. But before we get to that, here's a special shout out to the channel's first patron. Woo! Thank you so much to Ashiok the Nightmare Weaver. Also, I realized that $5 was probably a bit high for my lowest tier, so now there's a $2 tier if you just want to support the channel. But members of the $5 tier will get their name shown in the outro of every episode. Now back to the trivia. What card still lets you deal damage to Animar if there's a Painter Servant on the board naming white? The answer for 3 tofu points is Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Chandra's ultimate makes an emblem that deals 5 damage whenever you cast a spell, but the important thing here is that Chandra isn't dealing the damage. The emblem itself is actually the source of the damage. Even though Painter Servant makes all cards, spells, and permanents white, an emblem isn't a card, spell, or permanent, so it stays colorless and it can still target the Animar for damage. As far as I know, Chandra is the only card that can still deal damage to Animar in this situation, but there could be other ways to do it. If you can think of another answer, or if you have any funny combos that you want me to see, then leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Tofu out.